Good morning, good morning, good morning. Happy Monday to you guys. Um, I don't know what part of the world you are in, but if you are still experiencing the after effects of this weekend's winter storm, I hope that you are safe and that you are warm and that you have power and that all of the things are working out for you and your family. I'm praying for those that are still experiencing um, the effects of the winter storm. We're here in Tennessee, so it's still slushy roads. So school has been canceled today and tomorrow, and everybody's asked to kind of stay inside unless they absolutely have to. So we're going to do just that, which is befitting for this week's theme of rest. And so we're going to talk about rest this week, and I believe this is kind of befitting since. We're kind of forced to have to rest now because of the winter storm and the slushy road. So, happy Monday to you again. Let us get started. This morning, grace and peace may be multiplied to you on this new week of this year. I'm super excited about this topic. If you've been following me in Dream, Pray, Create, you've been following us in Grace House, you know how important it is when I about rest and us talking about rest and how we believe that rest is very, very important for what the Lord wants to do in and through us. Okay. So I want to talk about today that rest is not quitting. One of the most common lies the enemy feeds us as builders, as visionaries, as people that are called to execute at high levels is that rest sometimes feels like quitting. The enemy kind of feeds us that rest is quitting and that you can't afford to rest. I've heard it said, and I may have even said it myself a time or two, that I'll rest when I die, that I'll stop doing when I die, that I can quit when I die. And so I get this thing that you just got to do it, and it keeps us doing, and it keeps us busy, and it keeps us spinning our own circles and not really finding out what the Lord wants to do. One of the most powerful things, several things that happen in rest, when God wanted to give Adam a helpmate, he put Adam to sleep. He made him rest because you can get more help in your rest than you can in your striving. The Bible talks about Solomon becoming the richest and the wisest man. In the very next scripture, the Lord said, and he woke up. In your rest, God can send you help. He can give you strategy for wisdom. He can give you strategies of wisdom, and he can give you wealth. Sometimes we're spinning our wheels when we just need a rest in God. It's the ultimate level of trust. Okay. Rest is not quitting. Pausing is not failing. Slowing down is not falling behind. Some of us feel guilty every time we stop, guilty for sitting, guilty for breathing, guilty for not producing. We've been trained to believe that movement proves value. I'll say that again. We've been trained to believe that movement proves value and exhaustion proves obedience. Not true. Not true. You can be exhausted and still be in blatant disobedience. You can be moving and still have no value and no production. Rest is not weakness, it's wisdom. Quitting abandons purpose while rest preserves it. Put that in your notes. Quitting abandons purpose while rest preserves it. We rest to preserve the purpose, the intent, the authenticity of what God wants to do in and through our lives. Okay. And if you don't learn how to pause, life will eventually force you to stop. We've seen this time and time again. Workaholics that produce sicknesses and illnesses that cause them to stop, that cause them to have to pause. Life situations that make you stop dead in your tracks because you would not build rest into your calendar, rest into your rhythm. God causes or he allows things to slow you down. One of the greatest things that happened to me in this regard is my body will let me know rest is needed. Yeah, I sleep at 12 hours, 14 hours, 16 hours, be like, whoa, what happened? My body just lets me know that, you know what? I've had enough. And life has a way of doing that when we don't build it into our rhythm. So we need to make a decision that we'll start building a rest into our rhythms. Okay. So core truth number one that I want to talk in our coaching session just today is that stopping is not the same thing as surrendering. Put that in your notes. Stopping is not the same thing as surrendering. There's a difference between rest and retreat. There's a difference between rest and retreat. We need to know that there's a difference in this regard, okay? A retreat is a withdrawal, the act of moving back or withdrawing, while rest is just taking the time that's necessary for your body to recover. It's the cease of work or movement in order to relax, refresh oneself, or to recover strength. So to retreat is to withdraw completely, while rest is to take a moment to recover. Okay. So our core truth number one is that they're not the same. Retreat runs from the assignment, while rest returns to it refreshed, refocused, reset. There's times that you need to rest so that you can get a new perspective, so that you can reset, so that you can refocus, so that you can reprioritize the things that matter. Retreat makes you just run from it completely. I'm tired of it. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to go the opposite way. That's retreat. Rest says that I'm going to take a break so that I can become refreshed, so that I can accomplish. Rest doesn't say I'm done. It says I'm preparing to continue well and finish strong. Builders who never stop don't last long. Builders who don't ever stop don't last long. They burn out fast. And many of us are experiencing burnout and fatigue because we don't have rest into our rhythm. God built rest into creation, not as an afterthought, but as a rhythm. If God paused, then who are we? We're not above that. If it was infused in creation, we're not above it. If Jesus, who walked the earth and did many notable miracle signs and wonders, and in between each one retreated or rested, then who are we to not do great and mighty things in the earth and not rest in between? Rest is not rebellion, it's alignment. Truth number two, exhaustion is not evidence of faith. Exhaustion is not evidence of faith. Being tired doesn't make you spiritual. We wear this exhaustion as a badge of honor. Being busy doesn't make us obedient. Overworking can be just as fleshly as laziness. You need to ask God what it is I'm supposed to do, when it is I'm supposed to rest, when it is I'm supposed to be doing what. Sometimes we get in this hustle mentality and this hustle mindset. And let me tell you, that's not faith. It's really fear. It's really your lack, your poverty. It's really your traumas of not having enough that steps in and says you got to work, you got to hustle, you got to make it happen. But it keeps you far from faith. It keeps you locked, stuck in fear. Fear, in the fear of falling behind, in the fear of being forgotten, in the fear of not being enough or having enough. So we keep pushing, we keep grinding, We ignore limits. We ignore our bodies. We ignore the roadblocks and the road signs, and we ignore the things that are sent to guide us. Limits are not curses, they're guides. God did not design us to run endlessly. He designed us to move in a rhythm. God designed us to move in a rhythm, and that rhythm is to create, to complete, and to rest. Write that down. God's rhythm is for us to create, to complete, and to rest. Truth number 3. Rest protects what you're building. Write that down. Rest protects what you're building. Rest is a form of protection. Rest is a form of maintenance on what God has called you to build. I often say this, and if you've never heard me say it, you're going to hear me say it today, is that Superman's ability to be Superman is found in Clark's Kent ability to recover. If you cannot recover, you cannot be Superman. You cannot be Superwoman. Rest is maintenance on what God has placed on the inside of you. It protects your mind. Some of us are exhausted in our mind. That's why we can't figure out what to do next. That's why we can't tap into our creative genius. That's why we can't tap into what's next for us, because our mind is exhausted. One of the greatest things that I do when my mind, when I'm up against something great, when I'm in the fight of my life, when I having to produce something great and pull something off, is that I don't spend a lot of time spinning my wheels. In fact, most people around me get upset because I spend more time resting, resetting, spa, massages, steam room, sauna. Why? Because I am protecting my mind. I'm preserving my clarity. I'm guarding my joy so that I can protect what God wants to do in and through me. You need to do the same. Without rest, vision becomes blurry, decisions become emotional, and purpose becomes pressure. Many of us are experiencing this pressure that we're thinking is our purpose, but it's really exhaustion exacerbating our purpose. Rest keeps us from being brittle, fragile, broken. You don't need rest because the work is done. You rest so that you can continue the work. See, most of us have this, well, I rest when it's done. Well, here's the reality. When do it get done? I'm a parent. So the work of a parent is never done. We go from one thing to the next, one child to the next child. With one child, we go from one thing to the next thing. So the work is never done. So then if I say that I'm going to rest when the work is done, then I'll never rest because the work will never be done. But if I rest in a rhythm, I can maintain myself to keep doing the work. Elijah's problem was not that he was scared of Jezebel. It was that he needed rest. He had done all of these great exploits, exposed all of these false prophets, let the real fire of God fall. But he had not built a rhythm of rest to protect what was inside of him, to protect the deposit that God placed in him, the mantle that God had given him. Many of us are doing great exploits for God, but we're not doing great rest. Builders who rest well build long, build sustainable things, build generational systems. We can't do that if we don't rest well. Resting is not quitting. It's not quitting. You need to debunk that thought in your mind. that resting is quitting, that resting is delaying, that resting is putting off, that resting will cause you not to get finished and cause you not to complete. You need to debunk all of these myths that keeps you from building a rhythm of rest. You need to ask yourself, here's your homework today. Here's your homework assignment for today. Ask yourself, where have I been treating rest like a weakness? Where in my life have I been treating rest like a weakness? I can't rest in this area. For many parents, it's in our parenting. For many spouses, it's in our marriages. For many business owners, it's in our entrepreneurship. For many workers, people who work 9 to 5, it's in our assignments and tasks at work. For many of us that are going to school, it's in our schooling. Somewhere we've been treating rest as a weakness. Maybe not in all areas. Maybe it's not a general thing, but in some area, you've been treating rest as a weakness. You need to identify that area. You've been parenting tired, and your children are wearing you out. The school is wearing you out. Everything is wearing you out because you've not built a rhythm of rest in that regard. Where have you been treating rest as weakness? Write it down in your notebook. And then ask yourself, what does healthy pause look like for me today, this week, and this month in that area? Not quitting, not disappearing, just simply breathing and taking a breather. Schedule one intentional moment of rest and don't apologize for it. I'll say it again. You need to schedule one intentional moment of rest, and you do not need to apologize for it. It's necessary. It's important. You need your system of rest. You need your system of reset. You need your system of replenishing. So what area have you been treating rest like a weakness in? And what does a healthy pause in that area look like today, this week, and this month? What do I need to do to build a pause, a healthy pause in this regard, in this area, so that I don't burn out, so that I don't wash out, so that I don't quit, so that I don't hide in a cave like Elijah, but I can accomplish what God has called me to do, and I can finish it. Rest is a part of the assignment. God gave you an assignment. You need to know that rest is a part of that assignment. You're not behind. You're going to build wisely. This is the season for you to stop pushing yourself beyond human limitations and stop punishing yourself for being a human. You're not quitting. You're preparing to finish well. Because builders who know how to pause are the ones who will last the longest. I used to be a runner in school. Relay. I realized that the race, this is a Bible verse, but I realized this in reality, that the race isn't given to the swift or to the strong, but to the one who endureth to the end. In a relay, I learned that if you come out too hard, you'll burn out in the middle. But if you build a stable, steady pace and know when to pick up and when to drop off, you can finish, and you can finish well. Some of us are sprinting like we're on the dash, and we need to be pacing ourselves with systems of rest, rhythms of rest, because we're in a relay. We're in it for the long haul. And anything you're in for the long haul, you can't come out of the gate using and exerting all of your energy. You can't always be on full throttle. You got to know when to mash the gas, know when to lift off the gas, and you definitely know when to hit the brakes. God wants us to execute well. He wants us to finish well. We got to do that by building in a system, a rhythm of rest. Today's declarations: I honor rest as wisdom. I release guilt. I build in rhythm. I pause with purpose. I create my now. Today's declaration, and if you're in the school app, I'm sorry, make sure you all like, tag, and share the broadcast. I got so excited to jump on, and I was so worried also about you all, your safety, that I forgot to tell you our housekeeping rules. Will you like, tag, and share this if you're on Facebook? I know we're at the end now, but just tag 3 people that need to come and catch this replay. Hit that like button. Hit the follow the Rev J Daniels page, and hit the bell notification so you'll know that when we're on. That if you're watching over on YouTube, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit that bell button so that you'll know when the notifications, when we're on right here. We're here Monday through Friday. No matter what the weather is, no matter what the holiday is, we're here Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. Central Standard Time. 7 a.m. if you're on the East Coast, and 4 a.m. if you're on the West Coast. We're right here for creating your now, our Rise and Build edition daily. You need to make sure you're a part. If you're not a part of the school app, we got some fun things that are going to be in there, some downloads, some ebooks, some things that you need to take advantage of. So you need to make sure that you don't just tune in on YouTube or Facebook, that you are also part of the school app to create your now community on school. The link is in the description of this video. It's also in my bio. So make sure that you join the school app. It's free of charge, but we want you to be a part of the community. We want you to interact. We want you to comment on these declarations each day. We want you to have them in written form. That's where you have them. I say them here on the broadcast every day, but they're right there in the written form in the school app. So make sure you join. Today's declaration: I honor rest as wisdom. I release guilt. I build in rhythm, and I pause with purpose. I create my now. I create my now. This week, if you're partnering, if you're sewing, if you're donating to this broadcast for the furtherment of this broadcast, you can do so. We're sewing this week in the denomination of 7. 7 is the number of completion. It's the number of rest. He completed it and he rested. We're going to sow this week in the denomination of 7. So that's $7.77, $1.77, $77.77, 27, 47, 37. Wherever you want to sow, wherever God is leading you, wherever your generosity is, wherever your obedience to God is, wherever your sacrifice to Him is, you sow at that level. I'm praying over your seed as they come in. You're blessed, your seed blessed. This word is blessed, and it will bring forth a harvest in your life. Remember, rest is not quitting. It's necessary for you to complete. All right. I love you guys. Go, grow, and glow. May His peace, His protection, and His provision be your portion today, until we meet again tomorrow, same time, same place, as we continue our discussion and our coaching calls on rest. Remember, rest is necessary so that you can complete and finish well. All right. Have an amazing Monday. Stay safe, stay dry, stay warm. And if you have to, stay in the house. Don't get out in the madness if you just don't have to. And if you're in a place where it's warm and it's beautiful and there's no snow, more grace to you. Send me your location. We're coming to join. Have an amazing day on this magnificent